should I run an offer with this price point this way, or should I run an offer this price point this way? And it took me like a minute to wrap my head around an answer, but the answer was really simple. I feel like I'm screaming. Can you guys hear me okay? Yeah. Can you hear me now? Okay. The answer was really simple. My answer, and where's Jeff? Is Jeff Fuster in the room or no? I mean, Jeff Fuster is the best at answering these questions. And his answer was, I don't need Jeff in the room. He's good. He's good. The answer I had was, is anyone else running an offer similar to that successfully with that price point? And if there's no one in your market running a similar offer, even if it's a different, like, I just got a little too loud, didn't I? Or it's kind of weird. I need earphones. You like those famous singers? I need that right here. If no one is running it with a similar price point and metrics, and you're going to be the first one trying it, right now you're going to waste money trying something that's completely unproven and you're guessing. You're just guessing, right? And then the other thing you brought up, which was two big brands on how they run it. And if you look at them, like Netflix was one comparable, their economic model is completely different than probably anybody in our world can afford. Does that make sense? So if I was going to test something and it had any kind of membership model in the health and fitness market of any kind, I would have listened to everything Craig and Danette said, laid out their numbers and their metrics, and I would test that. I would look at whatever Tom DeLauer's doing, his numbers, his metrics, and I would test exactly that. You know, that's what I would first test with. So that's number one. Number two. So I mean, that's the big thing. Oh, James, you're back. Good. Good. All right, come on up, bro. Come on up. Okay, cool. So moving forward, I think one of the biggest breakthroughs we had in our business or in our agency or with No Foods came from two very specific things. One was listening to a talk that James gave about how to scale from like $0 to $25,000 a day very, very quickly. And I would really suggest, I mean, I see a lot of you guys on your phones are not paying attention. Like, I don't know, like, I mean, I would frickin' turn off your phone and pay attention, because the shit that he's gonna teach and people have been teaching all day long is very, very tactical. Like, this is the stuff that makes the world of a difference. There was one slide that Jeff had up there that was so detailed that I was like, it's going over not everybody's head, but like most people are ignoring it because it's too detailed. And I'm like, that's why Jeff is driving 70,000 plus leads a day, and most people aren't, because he goes down this rabbit hole, right? And so moving forward is like when I listened to James talk, I needed to hear like how to go from $0 to $25,000 a day, because everyone else is teaching how to sequentially bump your budgets. And then he explained why that's actually not as safe. And then I listened to another one by Tim Bird when he talked about the surfing method, which we're going to talk about that later, so don't steal the thunder on that one if you're going to. So, okay, cool. And when we layered both of those things, we went from spending around $1,000 a day to consistently spending 15 to 25 grand a day every single day. And then we learned more stuff from Nick yesterday, so this is just so exciting for me. So I'm totally excited because this guy drives leads. He's got an amazing story. 30 employees. I don't even know how many leads you're driving a day. I don't really care. It's just badass stuff. So let's give it up for James Van Elswick, everybody. Let's go.
Thank you. All right, everybody can hear me? Mic's working and everything? Okay. Listen, I'm so excited to talk to you guys today. It's unbelievable. I live in Paris. My office is in Tel Aviv. I flew here a few days ago, and I'm usually a pretty outgoing networking guy, but I've been pretty tired from the jet lag and a little bit lost on things, so I apologize for that. But hopefully today I can embrace you guys and give you some value. I had a bunch of different things proposed to talk about. I run a lot of different traffic sources. I run native advertising, so like Rev Content, Taboola, Outbrain, etc., as well as Google and Facebook. I sat down last night and just kind of redid everything because I really wanted to give the level of value that everyone has given me so far, and I felt like I needed a day to kind of gauge the audience and see where you guys are at and see what you could utilize and appreciate. So I'm gonna go through today and just break off actionable items. And what he said about the phone or laptops, like really listen to me for the next 40 minutes because I can pretty much guarantee that what I'm gonna give you, you can implement and make money on today. I'm an obsessive person. I push hard on these things. I believe in it. And the people in this room obviously are people that take advantage and execute. So it's definitely important for me for you guys to listen because I know you'll be able to make some money off of this. I want to go a little bit into who I am and why you want to listen, kind of give you a little social proof, etc. I own a company called Purple Leads. We do everything from lead generation, agency, e-commerce. We spend about $1 million a month. Sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a bunch more, depending on the time of year. As Ed said, we've got 30 full-time employees, which is everything from video creation, content writers, media buyers, and the whole 9 yards. We are, consistently pushing out very high numbers in a number of different verticals. So it gives me the chance to see a lot of data and a lot of different methods used in a lot of different ways by doing both e-com and lead gen and other things. To explain my level of obsession, which I go back to very often, and I think people that are good at what we do obviously are obsessed, and that's why they're able to execute at the level they do. Ed had kind of mentioned it, and I'll follow up with you here. My story going back around, I'm a call center guy. I left this business around 2013, 2014, large-scale call centers in Florida and Chicago. And I had started to generate my own leads for these call centers via television direct response, just because the lead guy always wins. Even when I was losing money, he was still getting paid and making money. So I decided to really push on generating my own leads. And eventually I decided it's a much better business to do digital marketing because I didn't have to have so many people touch my money before I got it. It's just like me and a computer. And I really enjoyed that I could be dependent on myself and closed loop. I realized real early that the key to everything in this business is your traffic source. We live in an auction-based society or auction-based ecosystem with advertising. So if you don't have your traffic source locked in, it's going to be an issue. There's policy, there's spend caps, and the different things that kind of hurdle us that I wanted to fix. So in an effort to fix this, I actually moved from Amsterdam to Israel. And Tel Aviv, Israel, if you don't know, is the epicenter of media buying in the world. It's one of the only places I've ever lived that you can walk into a bar and tell people that you're a media buyer, a campaign manager, and they know exactly what it is. I can put out an advertisement for media buyers. I'm going to get 50 applications of people who've already managed 10 to 20K a month in budget. So by moving there, I was able to access, obviously, Facebook and Taboola, Outbrain, Google. When I moved there, I took an apartment 2 blocks away from the Google office. We did not have a rep. I was just dedicated to getting a rep. And I literally went and drank coffee in the bottom of this building for months, just hoping that I would attract the energy to get a rep because I knew it was so important to me. My partner got us the rep, and now we have an amazing relationship with Facebook. We're in their office once a month. If I'm there, I try to meet with them once a month. My team is going there sometimes twice a month. They help us with creatives, like their creative department. They help us with really good campaign management and insights. Everyone that says like Facebook reps don't know what they're talking about are pretty much full of shit. They don't spend their own money, so we have to be careful when we listen to them. But at the same time, when you have a rep that's already had clients that are spending $1 million, $2 million a month, they really do know what's going on based on what they see in other ad accounts. So we've leaned on them very heavily. Also for compliance, policy, it's still a relationship game. You still can have conversations with Facebook and show them documentation to allow them to run your offers, but it is it's a relationship thing. This is me and the team at some of the different traffic sources. They definitely feel blessed. I think I trained everybody from scratch. I trained my media buyers from day one. I will not hire anyone that has any experience besides their own personal account. I train them from the ground up. I just want to hire people that are super hungry. I hire character and I just train the skill. So I want people that are hungry, maybe disadvantaged, really don't have a chance. For example, in Israel, I hire people that migrate to Israel and don't speak Hebrew. So they may be super intelligent, great at what they do, master's degree in economics or statistics, but they can't get a real job. And I've found that everybody's always concerned about their media buyers stealing their stuff or their secret sauce, etc. And I've found that when you give people opportunities, they're less likely to screw you over. So this has been a real foundational thing with the media buying department for me. I want to go through today and just give you meat. Like everything here just needs to be actionable. My slides are super simple. They're basically going to be words that are going to push me to explain to you the different things that I do here. So I want to start out with video views. I don't know if you guys know what video views are. This is a campaign objective. Instead of running purchase or lead, you can run something called a video view. And this is going to expose your video ads, which I really like, to as many people as possible. And what I do here is I use something called phishing. Okay, so in the traditional marketing arena before this happened, right, we had stats on a CPM level, and we could see how many people clicked. And this click was the first level of intent. Like this is the first step. They were interested in my ad, they clicked on it, or they engaged with it, they liked it, etc. What happened with video views is we found this new area. We're able to target people based on how long they watch our video. Okay? So what I do is I will take a relevant video that very clearly illustrates what I'm advertising, and I will just run it with the only goal for people to see it. This is not like a conversion-based campaign for me. And the reason I call it phishing is I make these video view campaigns, and maybe I run them broad to the entire geo that I'm advertising to, or I'll run them targeting an interest. And what happens here is, over time, as I'm accumulating data, I'm finding people that are watching 50 to 75% of my video. So I've now very cheaply, because this is a very low cost to acquire these early indicators of how long they watch the video. I'm no longer paying for clicks to get my level of intent. I just want to see how long they watch this video for. Once I've got this audience of people that have watched my video for 25%, 50%, 75%, I then take those people and remarket them my offer because I know they're already interested. So it's almost like building a warm audience just based on how long people watch your video for. My step 2 on this is I build audiences off of it. So once I've got enough people that have watched my video, let's say for 75%, I will use them to make a lookalike audience. Now normally to build a lookalike audience, we need a certain number of conversions to make it valuable to us. It needs to be a statistically significant number of conversions for Facebook to even make a very good data model. They require quite a bit of data, in my opinion, to make things good. For e-commerce, I would say like 200 conversions, maybe 400 to 500 view contents, add to carts, where with video views, it's such cheap traffic, I can get tons of these indicators to let me know they're interested, and I build lookalikes off these. And I find this to be much cheaper than any other type of lookalike audiences or building in this manner. So video views, if you're not running it now, definitely try it, and I'd be shocked if you don't have success marketing the people that watched your video for a long time. This one is just a no-brainer. Very few people do it, but it can decrease your cost by 50, 75% if you do it correctly. Again, with video ads. When you're running video ads, everybody is so concerned about the length, the content, what's in it, how does it look, etc., etc. But at the end of the day, people still need to click on it. And they're not clicking on the second frame, the third frame, 10 seconds in, 30 seconds in. They're clicking when they see the thumbnail. So when you make a video ad, you can put any thumbnail that you want as that front piece to get them to click. So when I make a video, I then go and split test, 10 frames that are from inside the video. And usually it's nice when, let's say, you have a video of a person and they're making a weird face or their hands are in a strange place that creates kind of a clickbaity effect where you're wondering what's going on. Or if you want to go really aggressive, which I usually do, I will use a completely separate image from the video. I will find the most clickbaity, hard to understand, what's going on image that stops the thumb, they click, and then they engage my video. So I just split test the thumbnails. It's the easiest way to make money that to decrease costs and make money that I've seen. I put in one image, one thumbnail image per ad set. I set the budget at $5 a day for 3 days, and I'm just looking for CTR. Because the thumbnail image, if it's even relevant, it's very unlikely that it's going to affect the conversion rate. The video is going to make the conversion rate, but the thumbnail is going to make the CTR. The CTR is going to bring down the cost to make a lead. So you go through, you got thumbnails, you're making money with a video ad, and you're paying, let's say, $1 a click. Well, you start split testing these thumbnails, and you get something a little more attractive, you may get a way higher click-through rate, henceforth decreasing the cost to get somebody to your video. So this is like a $15 a day test that can decrease your overall marketing costs by a huge amount. Scaling to a new ad account. Something I learned in e-commerce that I've now taken with me quite a bit in lead generation is the understanding that every ad account is a snowflake, okay? Every ad account is completely different, and I consider it like as a human, okay? So it's different genetically as well as behaviorally. And what I mean by that is, when Facebook rolls out all these different launches, etc., new features, new algorithm, new labeling, everything, they roll it out in small percentages because they go on this whole idea of move fast and break things concept. So they want to test things in the field. They don't put them in a closed environment where certain beta testers test it, et cetera, et cetera. They launch it, they give it to 5% of you. If it's not glitching and you're not complaining, it goes to the next 5% or whatever percentage it is, it continues to roll out. Facebook's operating system resets every 3 days. Okay, so obviously it resets every 24 hours. Facebook controls the targeting and the ad history, or the ad set history, based mainly on the prior 24 hours because it's the most recent, but their overall system resets every 3 days. So whenever you see a problem with custom audiences or you have a glitch and things aren't loading, you'll very often notice if you just give it 3 days, that's when it's going to right itself. And this is all via Facebook. This isn't me thinking about this. This is me asking them by being able to spend time with them. I was given really the blessing to sit down with some of their bidding team and their pixel team, like the engineers that actually work on this and understand auction and pixel-based things from their technical perspective. And they were obviously very interested to hear from me as a user what's really going on with this. Like, why do I really care about this feature? Or what do I really use? Or what does it really benefit? So the one thing I learned with every account being a snowflake is they're genetically different, but at the same time, they will be behaviorally different. Because as you start a new ad account or you start a new pixel, there is no history there. There's no data there yet. It's like a baby being born. But as soon as those first impressions roll through the door, it now starts to have this behavioral conditioning. And the pixel will now take on its personality based not just on the unique genetics via the ad account, but also from the fact that they've had a different experience early on. So when I got into e-commerce, I was running a general store, and I would have products win, and then I would scale them by taking them to other ad accounts. Whenever I have something win, I then split test it on 5 ad accounts for a number of reasons. One is they're all different, so you run 5, 2 are going to work, maybe 3 are going to work, and 2 are just going to be shit. You kill them, but you now also have more scale. I don't really believe that much in audience overlap. I do fear auction overlap, which I'm not going to dig into too deep. But I've always felt unless you're running really big budgets, I'm not that concerned about overlap. Maybe it'll affect delivery, but the benefits that I've found by scaling to multiple campaigns has been really a game changer. Because normally right now, when you guys raise your budget, or you want to increase your bids, or whatever you're doing to get more traffic, you're still going to be charged for this request for more traffic. As you increase your budget, and I'll dig into this a little bit more, but as you increase your budget, you're very often going to see increased CPMs, and you're going to see an increased cost per acquisition or cost per purchase or whatever it is, because Facebook is trying to spend your money. By scaling to new ad accounts, you're able to get more volume without higher budget, so you're able to maintain a lower CPM cost because you're not asking to spend as much, but you're multiplying that times multiple accounts. The issue now is, if these ad accounts are snowflakes and we have the ability to kind of manipulate the DNA, if you will, I like to marinate new ad accounts so that the pixel is ready to go and give me what I want from day one, as opposed to me having to train it on suspect traffic. When you're training a pixel on interest, or you're training a pixel even on lookalike, and it's not your exact converters, depending on that first 500 or 1,000 impressions, it can really have a huge effect on what audience you get. Facebook is making decisions on a lot within 300 to 500 impressions. Natives, it's 600 to 800 impressions, and they decide what they think about your ad image. So what I do is I want to kind of stack the deck and feed it super high quality prior to me running purchase campaigns. So I call it marinating. So I will basically, step one, I'll take those video views from the winning account, the first account, and I will then remarket them with a new account. So I'm automatically hitting them with stuff that I know is an interested audience. I'm starting out warm. Second thing I do is I then take PPE campaigns, paid post engagement campaigns, and video view campaigns, and I target them with interests, right? So now I say, okay, I'm gonna run campaigns that are already to people I know are interested and targeted, and just get them in the account and get them moving and get the account understanding the people that I'm looking for. So when I decide to pull the trigger, they've already kind of been fed what I'm looking for, what I'm understanding, what kind of consumer that I'm going after. Because the thing that I noticed with the e-commerce, when you have a general store, and it made sense to me, if I'm selling products for women, and I'm also selling, pup socks for men at the same time, they're completely different audiences, and this will confuse the pixel. When you isolate a product into an ad account just by itself, the pixel's only learning one conversion value, or one conversion goal, and it's only learning one type of audience as opposed to confusing it with many audiences.
So you don't share anything?
No. That's why that last thing is so important. I want to start the pixel over from scratch because I want a bunch of hot pixels as just one pixel that's hot in multiple accounts. Because what will happen is if the first account starts to have bad relevance scores, quality scores, etc., it's going to affect the next account's traffic. So what I do is when I want to make a lookalike from day one, I go off of an export of my CRM data. And people don't do this enough, okay? Normally people are making lookalikes based on pixel data, which is fantastic. But you'll find if you export the data from your CRM and you load that up as opposed to your pixel data, you'll get a completely different audience. When you're making a lookalike audience, again, it's a lookalike. So what you're putting into it is going to affect what comes out. So if you have an audience of 100 people, but you only put in 50 of them, or even 99, you're going to get a completely different audience because it's not the same input. What happens when you export the CRM data from your store or your conversion list or your email list is that you now have the ability to sort it by LTV. Okay, so you want to chop up this data as many ways as you can. What I like to do is chop my data into 4 tiers, if I have enough data, of like my high-level converter, my media, my medium, my low, and my bad. And I'll talk about this in a second, making negative lookalikes. So I export all of my data, I sort it according to lifetime or AOV, whatever type of value that you like to, and I make an audience of my highest AOV, second and third, and then one of my poor converters. I load this up and I run a 1% lookalike. Once I've gone through this marination process, my pixel knows what's going on. They get it. And all of a sudden I'm able to run purchase or conversion-based goals and have a much higher and faster chance to create good campaigns. I just want to touch here on bid versus budget so we can kind of talk about some of the issues here. And I'm sorry I'm talking fast, but I really want to give everything I got in such a short period of time. So if you got issues or questions, whatever, I'm here. I love to talk about this stuff, so just hit me. Bid versus budget and manual versus automatic. I don't think people always fully understand the difference between these two type of conversion goals. Automatic, okay, is meant to spend your money. Not necessarily a bad thing. Let's say you have a whale of a campaign and you just want to get the cash out there, automatic is fantastic. Automatic and manual bidding both have a cap. And people don't think about this, but automatic is just a manual bid, but Facebook gave you the top level number. Facebook told me, and there's conflicting, depending on who I'm talking to, it's a different percentage. But basically, automatic bidding, the cap on what Facebook is going to allow you to pay for a conversion is 80% of the highest bid on the platform at that time. That includes people that are just making mistakes and bidding $500 a lead because they added an extra zero. So basically with automatic, you're telling Facebook, spend whatever you want, up to 80% of the highest bid currently on the platform, which again is fine if you have a high converting offer and you just want to spend the money. I'm not always in this scenario, so I use manual bidding very often to put a cap on what I'm willing to pay. The important thing to understand about this is when scaling or understanding why your cost per acquisition goes up when you scale, is this bid to budget ratio. When you are using your bidding and when you're using the budget, you're giving Facebook two separate directives. The first directive tells Facebook, this is the amount that I want to pay for a conversion, and the budget is telling them how many I want to get or how much I want to spend. So now Facebook has two goals. They can give you leads at the cost that you want, or they can try to spend your budget. And this is why you so often see your CPP or your CPA go up so much, is because Facebook is really trying to push to fill that budget. And what ends up happening is you start paying too much for your leads because their effort is to sell or is to spend your budget as opposed to give you the proper pricing. So what I like to do here is I call it CPM price reduction due to constriction. The lower the budget, you are usually going to get lower CPMs. And as you go up, you'll get higher CPMs because they're making this effort to spend your budget. What this kind of leads into, or the understanding of this that leads into, is something I call soft landings, okay? Everybody always talks about turning ad sets up or killing ad sets, and I'm not a big fan of killing ad sets, okay? I like to give what I call them a soft landing, and I have two soft landings. The first one is that when I have an ad set that's not working at like $500 a day, I don't just turn it off. I lower the budget. Because when I lower the budget, I'm telling Facebook, hey, don't worry as much about spending. I'm more worried about getting these conversions. So what'll very often happen is if you have something that's unprofitable at one budget and you lower it, you're gonna see a CPM drop. You're gonna see very often an increase in conversions because you'll get better quality traffic because Facebook isn't just throwing it out to the world to get you volume. So I rarely turn off. As soon as something's not working, I turn the volume down, let's call it 25%. See how this is, another 25%, and very often I can find a sweet spot where I'm not spending as much on this audience, but I'm still able to maintain profitability. That's my first soft landing. My second soft landing is sometimes we need to turn our campaigns off. And this is something that I don't like to do. I like to let the algorithm go through everything all day, but in the reality of things, sometimes things just don't convert later in the day. Like you get to a point in the day where the people just don't want to buy, there's a time zone issue, etc. And if I see that I'm making money up to a certain point, let's say 7, 8 o'clock Eastern, or whatever the time zone is, I will want to turn it off. I'll say like, okay, I know I start losing after 7 p.m. But instead of turning the campaign off, I recommend highly just lowering the budget to like $10 ahead of what it's currently at. So if you're at currently $100 spend and you know at this time it always starts to be not profitable, then I just lower the budget to $110. I let the campaign stop itself. And then the next day, it's gonna go right back to where it was, but now with this more limited budget. So as opposed to turning things on and off and forcing your ads to then fight to get back into the ad chain and get their place in the ad server again, you just turn it down and they're gonna re-enter the next day a lot smoother because you didn't jar it by turning it on and off. So this is a very nice way to control things without kind of hurting the performance or being too aggressive to the ad server. This is something I was just talking to Jake and Nick and his partner Jake the other day. A lot of you guys are doing e-com, and another like nice little trick that I learned this last year is sending back a decreased purchase value. So right now, you got the closed loop, you're selling something, the AOV is $100, you sell it for $100, and you're going to report back to Facebook that the sale was made for $100. Now, conspiracy theory style, I personally believe that Facebook knows pretty well what your ROI is supposed to be. They see everyone else running these ads, they understand the ROI across the board, and I do believe that this comes into effect. I do believe that Facebook understands what you're making, because you're telling it what you're making, you're taking a look at the ROAS in their system, and I do believe that sometimes they will kind of play with this. So I use a app called Pixel Helper, but there's a number of solutions for this. I have no association with Pixel Helper. My friend owns it, but I just like it. It's easy. And what it does is you can set a percentage in their software, and it'll only send back 70, 80, 90% of the conversion value. So what I like about this is, even if you're not a conspiracy theorist that Facebook is, adjusting your costs based on your profit, what's very nice about it is you have chargebacks, you have refunds, you have scrubbed revenue, so it's not real. Like when we're looking in Facebook and we see that we sold something for $100 and our ROAS is 2.5 or 4 or whatever it is, it's not our real ROAS. You're not really optimizing for the true conversion value, because after you take out refunds and things like this, you're probably only getting 90% of that revenue. So very often we are being ineffective in the sense that we're optimizing off of data that's not real. So I will normally take out the projected refunds or chargebacks, whatever I have off of historical data. Let's say it's 12%, 10%. I will take this percentage off of the conversion value so that the data and the value that you see in Facebook is now accurate. And you can have a lot of fun with this too. Like, you know, you have a campaign that's kind of working and then it burns out. Just turn the conversion down to 10% and watch Facebook try to optimize for you. I don't know if you guys ever noticed this, but when Facebook is broken, very often, like if you didn't place a pixel correctly or something like this, you're gonna see your CPMs get super cheap and Facebook is gonna send you like the most premium traffic ever, because this pixel is the anchor for them. This is what they're gonna use to decide what they need to do. And their goal is to make conversions. Well, when you don't place a pixel or you break something, the traffic gets better and better and better because Facebook's trying so hard to make conversions, but they're not getting that feedback loop from the pixel. And what this made me realize is that there is better traffic out there, but you gotta hack it a little bit. And they will try to meet your goals, but it is, if they can't, it gets better, and then basically it'll just stop spending because it realizes it can't ever hit this goal. It just quits. So I really like the decreasing the purchase value. Negative lookalikes. Very few people use this, but I think it's like super powerful. Just like you can make lookalikes of your best converters and the people that you like and the people you want to market to, I make negative lookalikes. So for me with lead generation, a lot of the different things that I'm involved with involve credit scores. Okay? There's no way to properly target credit scores on Facebook. You can get the third-party data. You know, you can use their data logics and Equifax and the access they have to third-party, but it's quartile data. It's not like true credit data, okay? And for me, the difference between a profitable campaign and a non-profitable campaign isn't necessarily what I'm producing a lead for, as much as does this lead qualify or not. So what I learned to do is I make negative lookalikes. So you go into your CRM, you export the data of people that are bad, chargebacks, refunds, fraud, all these negative people, and you make a lookalike of this, and then you block it from your other campaigns. So for myself, when I do lead generation that's credit score driven, I'll make a negative lookalike of people with bad credit scores, and then run campaigns excluding the lookalike of those people. So even if I run broad to the United States, no targeting, I'm basically saying, hey, I want everybody except people that have bad credit or are chargebacks or scammers. And this decrease in cost will usually make a big difference for you and also bring up the quality of the people that come into your store. It'll also help get rid of the negative comments very often because you're getting rid of the people that make negative comments. Someone else that I know that uses these negative lookalikes, they have a very tricky way of doing things. When they see they have a lot of negative comments on their ads, they will then go and contact the people that are making all these bad comments and say, here, click on this link to opt out from being contacted anymore. People click on the link, they go to a page where they're now pixeled, that these are the people that don't want to be bothered or commented on. They don't want to be bothered on Facebook. They don't want to see your ads. And then I make a lookalike of that. So I exclude those people from further audiences just to get rid of the screamers. And then I also make a lookalike because I really believe Facebook is able to identify negative people as well, negative commenters. And this has had a very big effect on us to let our ads run longer by not getting such a high negative feedback. When you run lead generation in the United States, or any geo, they're seeing the same ads over and over again, and eventually they don't want to see it anymore. It's not like when you're running e-commerce products that are so broad, they're just seeing the same ads over and over and they don't like it anymore. One thing that's big here is I think it comes back to me for refreshing, okay? Everybody says like, don't refresh your stats all the time. You know, don't always be in your numbers. You're gonna drive yourself crazy. Don't keep hitting F5, et cetera, et cetera. I really don't believe in this. I believe that if you really want to dig into your data, on a very granular level and understand what's really going on, you have to continually watch your data in real time to catch anomalies. This is the real thing that I think makes the difference from a good media buyer to a great media buyer. Is the great media buyer has the ability, now maybe it's intuition because they brought in so much data into their own personal algorithm that they can now make better decisions via intuition, but it's the ability to know when something is going to start to turn shitty, or the ability to know that something is prime. This is going to be great. If you're someone who's so deep in your data that you know your CPMs on Monday are usually $20, and you notice now your CPMs are $14, guess what? Probably a great day to scale. If you notice that normally your CPMs are $20 and all of a sudden the CTR dropped and it went up to $30, you know that, maybe I'm still profitable today, so you're gonna let it run, where the good media buyers say, no, kill it, turn down the budget, because tomorrow it's gonna take a shit. So by living in the data and constantly refreshing, you're able to see what's really going on a very, very granular basis. Especially when you're launching new products, new ad sets, new interests, I think you need to spend this time in the data to understand how to kind of move forward. Taking notes. I don't think anybody takes, that's probably a pretty big generalization, but I don't think people take enough notes. And one thing that I have with my team is logs. There's so many times when things go well or things turn to shit, but we're not able to attribute it back to any of our actions. We don't know why, but something did cause this. Like maybe it's the Facebook magic, et cetera, et cetera. But normally it's something that we did. So basically what I like to do is any type of adjustments on a campaign level, ad set level, image creation, you just write down the time that you did this. You write down times that you noticed changes. How long did it take for this to take effect? How long till I saw an increase? How long till I saw a decrease? So that eventually I can go backwards and attribute or correlate an event back to the cause. And it's just a pretty simple thing. If you just get in the habit of hitting an Excel spreadsheet, made a change, adjusted, launched, what time did I launch at, etc., you'll start to see some real patterns that you'll be able to influence your future of your ad campaigns. I have 7 minutes left, okay? Do you guys want me to answer questions, or do you want me to talk about native advertising? Native. Okay. And I told Ed too, I didn't know what to talk about necessarily, because I really love natives as well. I'm super happy to sit with anybody later tonight, talk, open up my laptop, screen share, because I think natives are like imperative to you guys. Especially what's going on right now with Facebook, it's a necessity. Facebook costs went up last year 37% from the year prior. Last month, they were 117% more than the year before. So Facebook continues to get more expensive. You continue to have more policy problems, especially you guys running supplements. You got to wear the black eye for the rest of the industry. Native advertising, okay? This is Taboola, Outbrain, Rev Content, MGID, Content Ad. Native advertising is basically when you're looking at these online publications, you're going to see a widget bar of 4 or 5 ads in a row. You can't really tell if it's an ad or if it's part of the article, because when you click on this advertisement, you're going to be driven to an advertorial or a farticle that is basically basically it looks like a news piece, hence the name native. What's nice about natives is people are kind of driving down the highway, they don't expect to buy a car, but they see this sign at the side of the road. It's going to get them to pull off a little bit, but they still don't really know they're being sold because they're still like in a reading, browsing mood. So they're reading about Trump or whatever on their news site, Weather Channel, CNN.com, something chill. They see this ad that's relevant to them. They're going to click on this ad. They're going to get to another article. And this article is like your salesperson that's going to warm them up and eventually drive them to your offer page. This is the basic premise of how native advertising works. There is no interest targeting. There is no algorithm. There is no issue with scale. The way that natives work is, I'm going to be a native traffic source. There's like millions of online publications. It's not cost effective for us, time effective for us to go and try to make direct deals to place ads on all these websites. At the same time, these websites, they don't want to go out and market and find individual users to place ads. They'd have tons of empty ad space all over their publications. So what they do is they go to the native traffic sources and they say, okay, we're gonna give you the rights to this property. You're gonna buy traffic through the native platform and they're gonna make sure that your ads are placed. What's the difference here and the plus and the minus? And frankly, at this point in my life, I really only feel it's a plus. This is not based on an algorithm. This is completely manual. You're gonna have a tracker that's gonna allow you to see the data unique to the website that your ad is being shown on. You'll be able to see the profit and loss, the cost per click, et cetera, based on all these individual websites. The nice thing about this is, since it's not based on an algorithm, it doesn't mess up. It doesn't have like an adjustment period. When you want more traffic, you just increase the budget. You can go from spending $20 a day to $20K a day without losing ROI. Because you're not gonna have to give it time to adjust. There's no learning phase. It's just a matter of when I turn up the budget, there will now be more people that see this advertisement on native than there was before. Excuse me. Native works for broad things, which basically all of you guys have right now. You have something that affects more than 50% of the people on Facebook, or I'm sorry, on the internet normally. I call it the DMV test. If it passed the DMV test, it'll work on natives. If you were to go to the Department of Motor Vehicles, wherever you live, it's gonna be like the perfect allotment of people to try to judge something. Everybody has to go to the DMV. Every race, every level of income, everybody has to go there to get their driver's license, renew their driver's license, etc. If you have an offer that will affect more than 50% of these people, or more than 50% of the people are interested in it, it'll likely work on natives, okay? Ad policy on natives is much looser, much looser. And especially depending on the current financial state of all the different traffic sources, they basically loosen or tighten their compliance policy. You can talk to a rep there, they're very helpful. They want you to spend money, they want to make money because they're a rudimentary platform that's not in the same place as Facebook. So they want your business. Although they're rudimentary, the amount of traffic they have is astounding. One publisher, you can spend $100K a day if you wish, if it's the right size publisher. If you're going to advertise on a news article that's like, the New Jersey Gazette, you're not going to have a ton of traffic, a couple thousand impressions a day. You advertise on CNN, MSNBC, Reuters, Bloomberg, MSN on any of their pages, you can buy as much traffic as you want. It's a different system in the sense that it's not algorithm dependent, where it is manual, so you also have to optimize manually. So there's a plus and a minus here. So the way that this model works is to start spending money and gathering data on all these different placements, and you'll see which ones work and which ones don't work. And you just systematically turn off the ones that don't work and spend more on the ones that do. And I'm obviously oversimplifying it quite a bit. But in the beginning of these campaigns, you're going to be the one that's going to make the decisions on what you should pay, where you want your ads to run, and you're going to be the one that defines and finds the profitability, which is what's not happening on Facebook, because basically Facebook's doing it for all of us. You got a lookalike audience, it starts to work, et cetera, et cetera. But on natives, you need to crack it and find it, but once you find it and crack it, you don't really need to touch it anymore. I have a campaign right now, it's just about to hit $1 million. It's been running for 2+ years. I touch it once a month. Once a month. I update the images once a month. They don't burn out as quickly. For whatever reason, they just last longer. There aren't fluctuations because, again, it's not dependent on the algorithm. There's no need to use a pixel from the traffic source. It's not going to optimize. Your images aren't going to optimize. It's all manual. So in the current climate with Facebook, with all the different problems they're having now with the Cambridge Analytica thing and all of their tech problems all the time, etc., I strongly recommend that you follow what we're doing now. We make sure that we never spend less than 30% of our monthly budget on natives. So I always have a backup. For example, Q4, when prices go insane, on natives, prices go down. So when traffic's too expensive for me to run at the end of the year, if I'm not running e-commerce, I'm able to run on Taboola or Outbrain and have really great profitable time when Facebook won't make me any money. So anyway, any questions about natives or understanding about this, and I did it overly quick, but by all means, please hit me up. I really do love this stuff. I really love media buying. I really love what we do, so I'm always happy to talk shop. I would like you guys to hit me up, and I also want to make available to you, and I talked to Ed about it and stuff. I have a new Facebook group that's covering basically everything. I have my media buyers in there. So the girl that's best at Taboola or the guy that's best at Facebook, they're the ones that are answering all the questions. Obviously myself as well. And I'm doing two masterminds with Nick, the bearded pub sock guy, who's one of the most baller guys that I know, in San Diego and Las Vegas. We're also doing a live stream. But I would say my last request to all of you, if you can, my email address is james@Purple Leads. Please write it down for me. My company has a network, an agency. We do internal media buying. There are very few people in this room that we can't work with and potentially make money. And I would love the opportunity, since, as I said in the beginning, I didn't network very well because I've been jet lagged as hell. Grant me this opportunity to at least email me and tell me what you do, so I can see if there's some way that we can make money together, or at least like learn together and talk shop. So, guys, you guys are an amazing group. Ed, honestly, I've never been in a gathering where everybody is so on point, has opportunities, has good energy. So I appreciate so much all of you guys, what you've talked to me about so far and helped me. And Ed, thank you for putting it together. Sincerely, it's been a great time. So please hit me up and ask me questions or whatever you need at any time, okay?
All right, let's get it. James will be on the panel later today before we exit out. And this is just awesome. I mean, so you can tell he loves it. What was the other thing I going to tell you? Yeah, he has two intensives coming up, April 14th, 15th, 20th. Obviously, it says it on the screen. So definitely check that out. And great. We're going to have our next speaker in 1 second.